Today's webinar is called Understanding Cash Flow, the Key to Amazon Seller Growth. A few things we hope you get out of the next 30 minutes. We want to show you where the blind spots are for Amazon sellers when it comes to cash flow. We want you to be able to give yourself total visibility of your cash flow. And then most importantly, we want to show you how you can use that visibility to plan and fuel your growth for your Amazon business. You can submit questions throughout today's webcast. We will try to save the Q&A for the end, and we can go a little over 30 minutes if we've got a bunch of questions. So feel free to fire them in throughout the presentation, and then we'll answer all your questions at the end. We are also going to take a break in the beginning section of the webinar today for a live poll session. So we just want to learn a little bit more about you, where you're from, how long you've been selling on Amazon, and how you are currently dealing with some of the challenges that we're going to cover here today. So we hope you can participate in the live polls in just a little bit. Let's introduce our panel before I turn it over to these two gentlemen. Tomer Rabinovich is with us today. He's the author of Ride the Amazon Wave. Many of you have read his book. Some of you have worked with him in his consulting role. He is the founder of Top Dog Consulting, where he specializes in growth and exit strategy for Amazon sellers. And he is also partnering with us here at Viably to help guide our vision and help us address some of the challenges that Amazon sellers like you are facing every day. So Tomer, thank you for joining us. We'll get to Tomer in a second. Yes, hello, Tomer. I see the camera's on now as well. And we've also got Oz Merchant, who, if you're a Viably customer, you've worked with Oz. He's the VP of our customer success team at Viably, an entrepreneur himself. And if you are a Viably customer, you've built growth plans and looked at your cash flow with Oz. And he does not discriminate. He will work with Amazon sellers of all sizes and experience levels. So Oz, great to have you. And before I turn it over to these two guys, we're going to show you our vision at Viably and how we're going to solve some of these cash flow challenges that we go over here today. And so you'll see what the vision looks like. But really quick, I just wanted to take a minute to introduce you to the team and who we are, because I know for a lot of you on the webinar, we're kind of new in the space, and this may be the first time you've heard of Viably. So this is the team. Our founder and CEO is Doron Gordon. He's in the top left corner of your screen there. He led a successful exit for a small software company that grew to a $350 million acquisition. As you see there in 2019, the company was called Samanage. And many of us on the Viably team worked with Doron at Samanage to help grow a company into a successful exit. So Doron's a serial entrepreneur. And when he came to us with another opportunity and a new problem to solve, we said, absolutely, when do we start? And so a lot of the team has worked together before. We've also added some subject matter experts to help us kind of develop this vision that you're going to see throughout the presentation today. So Doron's goal is to help fellow entrepreneurs and kind of pave a smoother road for them when it comes to access to capital and financial management. So that is Viably. And with that, I will turn it over to Tomer and an interface that I think everyone here is familiar with. But Tomer is going to tell us some of the things that are missing.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Hi, everyone. Good to be here. You see a lot of familiar names on the list of attendees. Yeah, so this is probably the only screen you're going to recognize in this presentation. Today, this is obviously Amazon's revenue. Amazon is the expert at showing us numbers in terms of sales, but the worst when it comes to for us to understand our profits. We also don't know how much Amazon is going to pay us, how much we're going to keep from whatever they're going to pay us, and this is what why we're here today. Yeah, so in terms of there are three key questions we want to answer. So the first one is, how many products can you afford to launch, right? That basically means when we launch a new product, right? Let's say we bring 500 units or 1,000 units. We don't know if it will do well or not. We hope it will do well. Let's say we bring 1,000 units, then we need to go to 2,000, then 4,000. We're going to have like a growth trajectory once we launch a new product. So we don't really know what that's going to be like. And it's very difficult, even on a spreadsheet, to kind of project that over time. Second question you need to answer is how will you afford your growth, right? There are many different funding solutions out there, and we're going to talk a bit about how Viably is different today. And the third one is how much can you actually pay yourself, right? I think that's one of the questions no one really knows how to answer. I think for entrepreneurs it's really difficult, and me and Oz are going to have a conversation about that a bit later.
All right. Hey, everyone. Appreciate you spending some time with us today. So let's take a look at a customer example. This is a seven-figure seller in the sports equipment category that's really looking to double their revenues year over year. And their goal right now is like, let's go from 1 million to 2 million, and they want to launch a few more products and expand into potentially Amazon Canada. Now it becomes, easy to kind of get myopic in the ins and outs of every day, kind of being a seller, just focusing on the grind of the day-to-day selling. And as we'll see, some expenses are easy to uncover while others require some more insight into other data points. And while you may have a gut feel for profitability, it's always great if you can actually have the data to back up those ballpark figures. In fact, the ideal goal would be if you could actually forecast the number of orders and actually can have it all planned out, work with your suppliers. The more informed your supplier is, the better they can be prepared with the materials they need to produce your specific products. So in this case, the customer's challenge is really around capital, is like needing more capital for more inventory, for existing orders, and then the launching of new products, which in this also meant, expanding into Canada, which meant working with a new 3PL company actually based in Canada, and the initial kind of startup costs there, without really knowing, exactly how many orders and how fast it would be coming in. So using their existing cash would mean that's going to potentially impact their current kind of allocated spend for inventory. So having extra capital really allows them to really take some more chances. So we'll see kind of, what the value of having more visibility into real-time data and kind of how that helps you start planning and making your decisions about the business.
Yeah, so this is something I recently published in terms of a standard healthy business. I work with a few of the larger aggregators in our space, and this is really what they're looking for. They're looking for a healthy gross margin. Gross margin basically means before any payrolls or any other costs that you have that are unrelated to actually the actual business itself, and things that you don't transfer over once you have an exit. So in terms of COGS and Amazon fees, those usually sum up to between 60 to 70%. And then your ads, obviously ads can be higher than 12% tacos, but they can be 15 or 20%. But the point is you want to have a healthy gross margin. Otherwise, your chance of even growth or exit is slim. And in terms of unsellable returns, you also want to have a pretty low percentage here. If it's, I would say, 7, 8, 10%, that's going to be very difficult to even make a decent profit with that type of business.
Yeah, and while the data you're getting from Amazon, from Seller Central, that's giving you a partial picture of the health of the business. There's so many other expenses outside of Amazon which really impact your bottom line. So typically this is managed in probably one of the dozen spreadsheets you're using to kind of manage your business. And over time, as your business grows, this can become an administrative nightmare. So and it's easy to kind of really start tracking the larger numbers, but over time you really see smaller numbers that start chipping away at your margins. So having that visibility is key, and that's what we want to start kind of unveiling. So when we take a look at the spreadsheet, does this look familiar with kind of the folks you've been working with?
Yeah, definitely. And I will also say most of the sellers that have some sort of a cash flow spreadsheet, myself included, I update this when I need to see if I have enough cash. It's not something that I update constantly or that I care too much to update all the time. It's one of the reasons I started doing consulting and events in the first place, to have more cash, because this is such a cash flow type business. Yeah, so this is something I've seen all the time, and usually it's also incorrect.
Yeah. Well, so before we show you a better way, as Chris mentioned earlier, I wanted to just take a moment. We just gather some information about you and kind of your business and how you manage it. And we just have a quick poll that we'll throw up here.
We'll leave the poll open for, we'll say, 45 seconds or a minute here. You see some questions. Where are you from? how long have you been selling on Amazon? Those are pretty basic ones. The third one, how do you currently track your cash flow? That's going to be the one we are really interested to hear how you're currently managing this for those of you who are with us today, to see where the issues might be, where it could improve, and we'll show you some of the ways that we envision doing this a little bit more effectively. And then our final question, which we'll get into toward the end of the presentation, is how funding plays a role in your growth. So we'd love to know if you've ever taken funding for your business, and what kind of funding you've used. So we'll leave this open for a bit. And it does look like we've got a significant number of audience members using spreadsheets today. We're at 55% tracking cash flow in spreadsheets so far.
What are the rest doing?
We have 55% in spreadsheets, 36% in accounting software. So small percentages don't, or take their best guess. We'll share the poll results when we close it momentarily. Looks like we've got a lot of veteran sellers on the call today as well. We've got almost 50%, more than 3 years. One audience member has been selling since Amazon was a bookstore.
Great.
Perfect. We're going to close the poll in about 10 seconds here. Looks like just about everyone's had a chance to answer, so we'll go ahead and show you the results. Everybody seeing those okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like we got a lot of US sellers in the audience today,
Nice.
some veteran sellers, and yeah, just over half are using spreadsheets currently to track their cash flow. So what do you think, Oz? Show them should we show another way?
Let's show them a better way. I love it.
All right, let's go back to the deck here.
Awesome. So if you're used to kind of this view of kind of life is spreadsheets, and let's see if we can do a little bit better here. So what we've kind of built out, data is still data. You still need to organize it. We just made it a whole lot easier. And more importantly, the way we've built this is, since we're connecting into your Seller Central accounts, into your banking information, we're collecting all that data, we're capturing that and categorizing it so that it's available real time. So there's no more kind of administratively, I need to keep updating the spreadsheet, because basically, spreadsheet, it's only as good as the last time you updated it. If you're 2 weeks behind, 3 weeks behind, it's not as effective. So this is kind of up to the minute, coming straight from the sources. So, and we'll dive deeper into this in just a bit here. And before that, let's just kind of review some of the questions we brought up earlier. So first one being kind of, how many products can you afford to launch? So when you think about launching a new product, you're essentially adding a new layer of uncertainty to a plan you already know is working. You know what's working, you've been making money, but you're going to do something different. You're going to add a new product in, and that's really where the potential for growth is. And the more you can be prepared for the launch, the more you can kind of start stacking the deck in your favor. So in Viably, you can actually build out these different scenarios and see what the impact's going to be on your cash flow. And every product, the plan that you create, you can actually drop that into kind of your overall annual planning to uncover where the dips are going to be in cash, resulting in kind of a negative cash flow month. So, when you start looking at this, what you want to say is, okay, what are the numbers that I'm looking at? And what's important here is that we're looking at it holistically, meaning that it's not just the Amazon data, but it's really all the non-Amazon expenses we talked about earlier as well. So it's really a true representation of the impact on the business whenever you're kind of doing your planning. So what you can do with your potential new product launch or can't. Tomer, any thoughts on this from your end as we're looking at it?
Yeah, so the point is, when you connect to Viably, 3 things are going to happen. One is you're going to see historically what happened, right now what's going on in your account. The second thing is going to be to plan out what's about to happen. So these are the new products that you're launching and the restocks that you are about to do for your existing products. And that will give you the third thing, which is projecting how much growth you're going to have. Like the example I talked about before, going from 1 million to 2 million, you will actually be able to see when is that going to happen, in the future. So that, as far as I know, no tool exists that does that, especially not this like cleanly, I will say, and easily as well, because you don't need to put a lot of data into this or feed this with a lot of stuff because it's all automated.
Exactly. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to go launch some new products. Okay, can I actually afford to do that? Can I afford the growth plans that I have in mind? So, as you start planning out your additional restocks or new product launches, you'll see the impact it has on your cash flow and where these potential negative cash flow months appear, and you'll see that actually highlighted in red there. And from here, you can actually go ahead.
I'll just explain this. You see inflow, outflow, and balance on top there. So inflow means the money coming in, outflow is the money going out, and then the balance is that teal color that you see, that if it's lower than the green, that means you're actually you're in a bit of trouble, right? That means you're in the red, and then you basically need funding or some sort of a solution here to solve this, like this one step, one month. This is March in this case.
Yeah, and once you find out, kind of uncover, okay, this is the months I look like I may be getting into trouble, you can click this funding wand. And basically what that wand will do is it'll trigger an offer based on the health of the business at that moment in time. So, and that's, in some cases, that means, okay, you're going to have enough capital there to cover all your growth objectives. In other cases, that may mean that it's not covering all that, just a portion of it. So that means potentially you need to say, for example, you had in mind of, I'm going to launch 5 products, but maybe this means you can only launch 3 products at this time. Keep in mind, all of this is dynamic, meaning like if you launch your 3 products and they're a hit, you've got revenue starts coming in, and you're far better financial position than you were 3 months ago, you can actually click the funding wand again, and it'll actually give you an updated offer based on kind of the health of the business right now. And maybe that means now you can actually add those additional 2 SKUs in and launch those as well. So really, the goal is to get you out of the red as you start planning for the year and make sure you have a kind of healthy, sustainable business. So everything's going well. You've got new products you're launching. You can afford the growth. How much can you actually pay yourself? Can you afford to pay yourself? Well, some sellers care very little about this. Their strategy is, let me just grow, and I'm just going to have a nice exit. Totally fine. That's a great strategy to have. Others still need to eat today. So as part of the planning, you can see kind of what the cash balances are. And based on that, you can say, okay, how much salary do I want to take out? Maybe it's a little bit here every couple of months. Maybe it's a fixed amount month over month. You have the flexibility because you have the data to start making that decision off of. If you know that you're going to have you typically have a strong Q4, and I could see based on this with the stuff I'm doing, the launches I'm going to have a good Q4. I can at that point take out some more or extra money in Q4, and that's going to cover my kind of personal holiday shopping expenses.
Right, and the cool thing about this is that you see the cash balance below this. So cash balance is how much money you are estimating you're going to have in the bank at any given time. So let's say you don't want to have under 10K, right? So in the first month, you can pull like 5K, and then you can pull more as an example, right? But again, this gives you visibility on what's about to happen in your business, and that is very hard to know on the day-to-day.
Yeah, once again, it comes back to the more information you have, and without having to do a lot of work, meaning like updating a lot of spreadsheets and having it all in real time, the better business decisions you can make. So we got a couple of kind of bonus cash flow tips.
Yeah, so one of the things that we started doing a few years ago, it's also, I believe it's mentioned in the book as well, but it's pay suppliers up front, especially for fast moving products. So if you have products that are very small, very light, selling for very low prices, usually they have a very quick turnover, and the margin on those is very high. So let's say you have a product selling 50, 60, 80, 100 units a day, selling for, I don't know, $10, $12, $15. You can probably negotiate with a supplier and say, hey, instead of paying you 30, 70, maybe I'll pay you 100% up front, right? Can you give me a discount? Or you even say, okay, this year I need 20,000 units from you. Can I pay 10% down right now for all 20,000 units and give me a discount? And every time I ship something, I pay 90%, or I pay when it gets to Amazon or whatever. But negotiate with your supplier and basically help them help you by paying up front. And a discount, you need to understand the discount on your goods, let's say it's 10% off, even if you need funding to fund that discount, it's still worth doing, because the discount is actually profit in your pocket that gets a multiple once you exit. And some sort of a loan that you get or funding that you take is actually an add back if you do exit. So any discount that you get from a supplier, as long as you can fund it, it's basically free money that you get.
Yeah, and think of, a supplier, they've got a business to run too, so cash flow is important to them as well. So the more you can give them up front, it helps them run their business better and potentially elevates kind of your priorities. Say, okay, I've got 5 different orders come in. These guys pay me up front.
I think a lot of sellers are kind of seeing the supplier as kind of like the enemy, and kind of trying to fight for terms all the time and kind of squeezing the supplier more and more, or asking for discounts for no real reason from their supplier. And sometimes they lose quality as a result. But you really need to see your supplier as a partner, and you both have the same goal and agenda to sell as many units as possible and as fast as possible. So if you treat them as your partner, they're going to treat you the same way. And guess what? If you pay them up front and the Chinese New Year's is coming or something, or Q4 is coming, who do you think they're going to put on the front of the line? The guy who pays wants better terms, or the guy who pays 100% upfront?
Yeah.
Yeah, so pay subscription fees annually to save money. This is a big one. I think a lot of you probably have PPC agencies you're using, photography agencies you're using, different software you're paying for on a monthly basis. So just check, right? Just check your credit card and see what you spent money on, or just check Viably and you can just see it immediately. But anything that you're spending monthly on, you can probably pay a year in advance for. And also agencies, if you use any type of agency, any type of consultant, if you tell them, look, I want to pay you for a year in advance, and usually get a discount for that. If you have 10 new products coming in, right, that you want to do photography for, or 5 products, tell a photography agency, hey, I want to pay you up front for all 5 products. How much discount can you give me? They will all give you discounts. So this is, again, just free money that is on the table.
Yeah, just coming from the software side. I mean, I know typically software, if you're doing annual subscriptions, you're saving at least 10 to 20% right off the bat. So
yeah, it's usually 2 months free.
Yeah.
Cash reserve. So one quick thing you can do. So whatever money you have in inventory right now, let's say it's 100K, you probably want to have at least 20K in your bank. This is a very simple rule to follow, just to make sure that you have enough cash to support. So again, just look at how much stuff you have in Amazon, the 3PL on its way from China to Amazon, and then make sure you have 20% of that in cash, so you don't run out of cash. This is I would say the minimum ratio you want to have. You don't want to have anything lower than this. I would say if you have 40, 50%, it's even better.
Yeah, I call this is your ability to sleep at night. If you've got whatever that percentage is, I look at it as okay, if you can sleep good at night at 20%, great. If you need 40%, even better.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are right on time. So we're going to go over a few questions that we figured we were going to get, and that Tomer and Oz have kind of gotten in advance of today's webinar. And then we'll save some time at the end for your questions. So now's a great time if you've got questions on the cash flow tips, or how to better manage your cash flow, or anything you saw from Viably today. Now is a great time to pop that into the Q&A, and we are happy to answer as many questions as everyone has with the time that we have left. And also, in the meantime, Oz, if you want to pop it into the chat, the link we have there to go sign up for Viably. To sign up and start using the tools is totally free. So Oz is going to put the link into the chat for everyone to see, so that they can go ahead and connect their accounts and check out their own data for their business. And in the
Chris,
meantime,
can you just enable so I can send it to everybody?
Oh, sorry.
In the chat. Yep.
Yeah, so while he's doing that, Oz, do you want to maybe take the first question?
Yeah,
let's.
Absolutely.
And we're all set there. So let's take the first question. Can I use the cash flow simulator if I don't need funding right now? A good question.
Yes. So once we launch it, yeah, the whole idea is, you'll be able to use the cash flow planning tool. Really, the goal is to help you identify when do you actually need cash. Just having it for the sake of having it is not good. It's just a matter of, okay, what's going to be the right point in time that actually helps kind of think of it inflection points, elevate the business. So the goal is to use the tool to identify, okay, this month is going to make a big difference to me. If I had it, 3 months later, it matters a little less. So it's kind of identifying the sweet spots, and that's kind of the function of the tool.
Yeah, and I will just mention again to reinforce that the cash flow simulator is free, and it's going to remain free forever, probably. Yeah.
Okay, another good question. We know we've got a ton of Amazon sellers on the call today, but just because you sell on Amazon doesn't mean you haven't diversified with other revenue streams. So for folks with a Shopify website or sell on other marketplaces, can you connect that data within the simulator as well?
Yeah, so the goal is really to, right now we've got Amazon, we're going to have Shopify and Walmart soon, and probably later on even eBay. And our goal is to really just give you this whole picture across all your channels, whether that's D2C, whether you're on other marketplaces, to bring it all under one roof and really plan your business. Your business is greater than any of the specific kind of channels you're selling on. So yeah, that's the intention of kind of what we're building out here.
Perfect. And can I get funding if I'm already funded by another provider?
So that depends. It really depends on kind of the additional funding and how that, what kind of impact that's having on your business already. As we partner with you, the goal is, we want to make sure that you're in a good financial position rather than getting yourself in trouble, meaning like we don't want you to be overextended and over leveraged. So honestly, the best thing is probably just go apply, get your data connected. And once you've got that, then, the data is there, and we can kind of discuss it from there. What makes sense.
Awesome. Well, with that, we will move into the Q&A portion of the webcast. So go ahead and send us your questions. And Oz put the link into the chat so you can sign up for Viably and connect your data for free. But as far as the presentation portion of this goes, that is going to be a wrap for us. So thank you, Oz. Thank you, Tomer. And thank you to everyone in the audience for joining us. And we'll move it over to the Q&A now.